all coupe-style SUVs are a little bit out of reach. Maybe they're saved for trendy, upmarket German brands. Well, think again, because our good friends at Renault have decided that they're for the many and not the few. And they brought out this, the Renault Arkana. Now, while it might look like one, it is not a coupe version of the Renault Captur or the Kadjar. It kind of sits somewhere in the middle. So is it the best of both worlds, or is it just full of bits that we don't really need or really want? Well, I will find out for you. But before I do so, make sure you subscribe to the Carbuyer YouTube channel, click on the bell icon so you get notifications every time a new video goes live. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Thanking you kindly. Right, let's take a second to get this straight, because the Arkana is a bit of a confusing proposition. It's based on the same platform and shares many of its parts with the Captur, our favourite small family car no less. But it's longer both in body and in wheelbase than the Kadjar, which is Renault's current flagship SUV. With prices from around 25 grand, it costs about the same as the Kadjar too. Okay, so I thought we'd kick things off here in the back, because in a coupe-style SUV, the back is where the deal is either the maketh or the breaketh of the car. Okay, some more deal makers and deal breakers in actual true Carbuyer form a little bit later on. But sat back here, I mean, I know I'm only 5'6", but I've got plenty of room back here. Rich, my fellow Carbuyer presenter, is 6 foot, and he had plenty of room back here. That's largely thanks to the longer wheelbase, which is the distance between the front wheels and the rear wheels. And headroom isn't too bad either. I mean, okay, the bench doesn't slide like it does in a Renault Captur, but I suppose if versatility is your thing and that's what you're after, then you're just going to go for a normal SUV. But in terms of day-to-day family life, I mean, the higher ride height makes it nice and easy to get kids back here. You've got big door bins, you've got armrest cup holders, some USB sockets. It's not too bad. The Arkana's list of attractive attributes continues, believe it or not, with the boot. How much space you get depends on which model you go for. The standard petrol version offers a whopping 542 litres, with some of that under the boot floor, whereas this hybrid has 480 litres. Still, a really decent size. Of course, the Arkana is compromised if you plan to regularly fill it to the roof. The sloping roofline eats into practicality in a way the more vertical back windows of the Captur and the Kadjar don't. Still, with a total of 1,263 litres, it's on par with the Captur for outright carrying capacity. And just like magic, here we are at the front. Now, it's very similar to the back. I mean, very spacious, very accommodating. We've got a very familiar setup, a bit like the Clio, a bit like the Captur. We like both of those. And we've got this portrait style touchscreen here. So if you go for the entry-level iconic, then that's 7 inches. Or if you step up to this S edition, then it grows to 9.3 inches. It is very laggy. I found it quite frustrating at times because it struggles to keep up with your fast fingers. But it all functions reasonably well. The graphics are all very nice as well. And if you go for the mid-spec models, then you get this digital driver's display, which I have to point out to you, I don't fully trust it. So I was on the M25, and while that said 70 mile an hour, on here it was telling me the speed limit was 50. And then when I was driving here today, I was on a 60 mile an hour road and it told me the speed limit was 80. So I'm not fully trusting that. But meanwhile, quality is pretty good. I mean, it's better than Renaults of old, but here is the thing, right? We like the Clio, we like the Captur, we like their cabins. But what you like in a small hatchback isn't necessarily what you're going to like in a more expensive SUV. This is 30 grand. And I was just expecting it to be a bit more snazzy. I want a bit more snazziness. Just a touch more snaz. There are 3 trims to choose from, with the entry-level model costing pretty much the same as a similarly spec'd Kadjar. We'd recommend going for a mid-spec model like ours, to get that bigger screen, the digital dials, smarter wheels and some extra safety kit. But even the cheapest version comes well equipped. Full specs can be found at carbuyer.co.uk. And now to how the Arkana drives. And that is one area where it just doesn't really shine. It's not terrible, it's just a bit lackluster. I've had this car for a few days now, and so far, so meh. I mean, this is the E-Tech hybrid. There is also a petrol version, but it feels just very typical hybrid style, you know? So it feels like it's been designed for efficiency more than anything. When you're driving nice and slow, it's nice and smooth, it's nice and quiet. But when you put your foot down, it's like there's a strain in the engine to go that little bit faster. And 0 to 62 takes a very leisurely 10.8 seconds, which I don't know if I'm just getting used to electric cars or what, but in this day and age, 10.8 seconds feels really slow. While you may have to sacrifice some performance, at least that hybrid model is efficient. Renault claims 57.6 miles per gallon, and we've managed a respectable 53 miles per gallon during our time with the car. But, and it's a big but, the complete lack of plug-in or fully electric model will ultimately limit the Arkana's appeal. CO2 emissions of 111 to 112 grams per kilometre are competitive enough for this class, but not low enough to pique the interest of company car drivers. So you might think then that this is the point that we would recommend that you buy the petrol version because that is a little bit cheaper, but no. Even with a bit of mild hybrid assistance, even that one doesn't feel like it's up to the job. Whichever one you choose, it feels like you've really got to work the automatic gearbox, there's no manual option, to get it up to speed. And when it's there, it feels like it doesn't want to be there. This feels like the sort of car that would just want to be going 20 miles an hour. No faster, please. Stick to 20, nice and slow. But look, all the power and performance, let's ignore that for a second, because actually that corner just there, body roll not too bad. It feels reasonably balanced. Regardless of power and performance, it does feel composed unless you really push it. I mean, the trade-off is that this does feel like a slightly firm ride for a family SUV. I guess they've tried to make it feel a little bit sportier, which hasn't really worked. Mazda CX-30 is a lot better, and Ford Puma is way more fun. Come on then, let's have them. Some Renault Arkana deal makers and deal breakers. For something that sets out to be stylish, the Arkana is actually pretty spacious inside. That's thanks to the stretched platform and long wheelbase. If you avoid the top spec models, you can have an Arkana for about the same price as a Kadjar. It might not be the sharpest car to drive, but the hybrid powertrain is economical. It might look sporty, but it doesn't feel it from behind the wheel. The Arkana encourages a gentler approach. The ride is quite firm for a family SUV, so make sure you can live with it before you buy the car. The hybrid is undoubtedly efficient, but it won't appeal to company car drivers, and there's no electric version either. Interesting this. I don't normally struggle to make my mind up about a car, but I still can't quite decide on this one. I mean, is the Arkana a perfect blend of the Captur and the Kadjar, or is it just a weird mishmash of the two? And I suppose if you want an SUV, it's a little bit more stylish and you don't have to sacrifice much on space, then I suppose it's a good alternative to the Captur, or even the bigger Kadjar. Not without its failings though. Engine range isn't great. It's not that good to drive. There's no plug-in hybrid, no electric powertrain that's really going to limit its success. I mean, it's a niche car. I don't mind the colour though. If you like this video, then why not watch our review of the Ford Puma or our family SUVs playlist. And as ever, thanks for watching.